the markets trying to tell us something? I think they are. And today we're going to try to answer what the markets are trying to tell us, because this is taking on a different situation here, what Bitcoin's doing, what it continues to do into the weekend here. Something different is going on, not just potentially a major bottom in place, which I think it's somewhat reasonable to think that this is a bottom, considering this move off the bottom, how powerful, how impulsive this is. And the likely scenario that this is about to be a wave 3 right here. This just started a wave 3. So this was wave 1. There's your wave 2 pullback. If this is a wave 3, well then holy freaking crap. We'll see. That's a little premature to say. And it's also, if you consider the RSI, it's like it's forming divergence, meaning that the RSI is making a lower low while Bitcoin is making a higher high. It's possible that the RSI does end up making a higher high while Bitcoin makes this higher high. And if that is the case, then that would confirm a wave 3 scenario. Right now, the RSI is implying that this actually could just be the end of the move here. This is the, wave 5 end of the move, because you have divergence, meaning that, as this price rises, the momentum is starting to wane here. That's what the RSI is telling us. But that's all technical stuff. Let's actually talk about the bigger picture here and try to figure out what the markets are telling us, because it's not just Bitcoin that's pumping right now. Let's look at the NASDAQ and look at the monthly candle on the NASDAQ here. Obviously, the month isn't over. It's not over. But what's interesting is, look at right now, you have a fully engulfing bullish candle on the NASDAQ, still holding that bottom that I talked about a few weeks ago, where I was like, this might be, a significant bottom. We talked about the idea that the Dow Jones was leading the way to the upside, but here's what's interesting. Look at the Dow Jones monthly candle, right? Look at that. So what does that tell you? That tells you that risk appetite is increasing right now. So Dow Jones, that's a relatively bearish candle, especially when you compare it to the NASDAQ, right? And then let's look at the S&P 500 monthly candles I'm looking at today. And what do you see here? A bullish candle, more bullish than the Dow Jones, right? And on this monthly shape here, what does this look like to you? Looks a bit like an inverse head and shoulders to me. You know what I'm saying? You see that? See left shoulder, head, right shoulder. That looks like a bottoming structure on the monthly time frame. And also consider the fact that it found support at that 200-week moving average, key area of support it needed to find. So fair to say that NASDAQ is below that. So, NASDAQ really needs to power up if we want to see that risk on move coming. Now, Bitcoin leading the way here in the risk on move, but still, it's coming up against that key 200-week moving average. That's the main barrier that it needs to break through. We need to see Bitcoin break through that, and we need to see the NASDAQ break through that. It's very possible that this move ends at the 200-week moving average. That is something I would be sort of at least expecting to a certain extent. Like I said, this could be the big move here. I'm long crypto. Like, here we go. I'm excited. I want to be excited here, but I also want to be very cautious. I'm definitely not selling crypto here, even though that's maybe that's very dumb. Maybe I should be selling crypto right here. But it's like, no. This could be what we've been waiting for, Obviously, getting ahead of myself here. But the thing is, I would consider that this might, oh my God, what if this is the retracement? You know what I'm saying? Like, what if this is the retracement for the altcoin season? Wow, I don't even like hearing those words coming out of my mouth, because I feel like I sound like a totally ignorant, like moon boy for thinking that. But the fact is crypto is telling us something here. We never got a retracement, and now you've broken above a very, very key level. This is the FTX collapse level. To me, breaking above this level was like, that was going to be the major test. You found a ton of resistance here, and then you broke through that resistance. You're above all three of the short-term moving averages. If you make it above this 200-week moving average, your next battle is this. And then I think that the logical target becomes that 30,000 level. And look at that. If I go from this swing high to the swing low, look what level that takes you at. I think that's your That's your very, very optimistic target. Now, we'd want to see the altcoins start to be firing off impressively if we're going to have like a legitimate retracement, this whole Fibonacci extension, which I literally think is like, it's not out of the question. Now, why is it not out of the question? Well, for one, because literally 0 people expect it. 0 people, including myself, expect it. The only people who are actually going to make money if crypto does do a retracement here are the people who have been white-knuckling this whole freaking time. That's very few people. This market shook out literally everyone. Literally everyone. Everyone wanted lower prices. The market got everyone to the point where they're begging for lower prices because they got shaken out. And of course, that's exactly when the market doesn't give you them. So I think the fact that this is so unexpected, the fact that Bitcoin is now broke through that 702 based on the August high, right? It's going to come up. The next big battle will be the 200 week. It's like literally no one expects that this is going to be like a major boom in the crypto market here. And I don't expect it either. I don't expect it. But the fact that nobody expects it, including myself, that's why I would actually entertain the fact that this may literally be what's happening. And it kind of shows the only people who make it in crypto, the only people who actually make it to the end, get to the promised land in crypto, are the people who literally just white knuckle. That's the only strategy. Like, you can't even try to trade this market. You will get wrecked. All you can do is just buy all the way to 0. And if you've been doing that, well then, you're sitting pretty at this moment. So here's the thing. What are the markets telling us, right? Bitcoin looks bullish here, right? There's a case to be made where tech, the NASDAQ is starting to develop some relative strength against the Dow Jones. So that means risk is sort of coming back to the market. So what's going on in the bigger picture that sort of would justify this kind of behavior in the market? Well, it has to do with, in my opinion, this debt ceiling situation, right? This is very, very interesting. So right now, this is being presented to us as, a battle between Democrats and Republicans. And the same thing happened in 2011. It was a battle. And it's happened many times. How many times has the U.S. increased the debt ceiling? Every single time that they came up against it, they increased it, right? So you got to probably assume that they're going to increase it again. But here, look at the number that we're at, right? So like, holy crap, it's all relative. Like, is that a high number? Well, yeah, it's higher than the last time they came up here, but it's like, that's to be expected. That shouldn't really change the fact that they always raise the debt ceiling. It doesn't really matter how high it goes. Very likely they're going to raise it. So then what does that mean? If you're going to raise the debt ceiling, well, geez, you're going to be deeper in debt, right? So if you're deeper in debt, you probably don't want to have extremely high interest rates. Oh boy. You see where I'm saying? You see where I'm going with this? What are the markets doing? They're calling the Fed's bluff right now. That's what this is. If this move succeeds, if this is a successful move, this is calling the Fed's bluff. And that literally ties in scary perfectly to everything I've been saying. Because what's going to happen if this ends up being a major retracement for Bitcoin, and you make it into these higher Fibonacci extensions and altcoins pop off like no one can even fathom? If that ends up happening, what's going to happen right after that? Major crash. Major crash, right? And if the Fed is bluffing about interest rates, like I've said so many times on this channel, you will get a short-term euphoric end-of-market grand finale pump, which will result in the biggest freaking crash we've ever seen, because inflation will show up like a monster and swallow up everyone and literally eliminate all normal people like us, people who aren't multi-billionaires. It will eliminate all of us from literally participating in the economy on any level because everything costs so much, right? Now, if you white knuckle all the way down on your cryptos, well, fortunately, you'll be super rich on that, and that's going to give you a massive leg up in a super inflationary economy. But a super inflationary economy will absolutely be detrimental to all financial markets. Crypto, tech, Dow Jones, everything will go down, right? Now, the only thing that theoretically could go up in that environment would be gold. And it's interesting to see what's going on with gold right now. Gold is pretty bullish. So you got to think, who's accumulating gold right now? Who sees this whole situation coming, right? Well, some people do. I don't know who. Maybe the richest people ever. Maybe the insider people, right? Somebody, or not somebody, but like the whales, the big, rich, scary insider people, they might see something really bleak coming over the horizon, which is why you're seeing what you're seeing in gold here. And, gold could be in a major bullish sort of consolidation situation here. Like this could end up massively breaking in the upside. That would make a whole lot of sense if the Fed is literally bluffing and they literally are going to start, not necessarily cutting rates, but really, really easing with their hawkish behavior, right? And we already know that the Federal Reserve has already stated that they are going to be likely only raising 75 basis points in all of 2023. So that's like they're not even hiding the fact that they're bluffing at this point. Now, if they continue to raise even only 75 basis points throughout 2023, well, that's actually a pretty good situation for markets, because that's going to be kind of like what you saw here, right? You see markets blow off here. They go epically crazy here. It's right here that they crash. The market's crashing after the interest rates crashing, repeating myself for the millionth time, but it's important to understand because this is all now coming into play, right? Just based on the simple fact that the United States, it looks like, the politicians are in a battle. They are battling to raise the debt ceiling. They're likely going to raise the debt ceiling. We have no reason to believe they won't. If they didn't raise the debt ceiling, well, then, you'd have a lot of money to be made on the downside. Let's just put it that way, right? A lot of money to be made on the downside if they didn't raise the debt ceiling. Ultimately, that would potentially be a good thing long-term in the macro environment. Right now, it sounds like they're going to kick the can down the road, and they're going to probably put this up to, 33 trillion, maybe even 66 trillion, maybe even 99 trillion. It doesn't matter. It's just numbers in a computer screen. Like, it literally doesn't matter, except for the fact that interest rates are a factor. This is debt, remember. It's debt. So what is the rate that debt needs to be paid back? Well, currently, it's this number here. So think about 4% on $31 trillion. It's like, yikes. Like, they don't want that thing to go up much higher. Maybe 5% is fine, 6% even. But it's like, if they're now talking about raising the debt ceiling, every $1 trillion that they just add, of free money that they, we have more wiggle room to print more money because we're going to raise the debt ceiling. It's like every $1 trillion they add on to that, and they're having to pay, interest rates north of 4%. It's like, that's not a good situation for them. They don't want to be in that situation. So now you're starting to see the whole idea of like why the Fed might actually be bluffing and why the market, it might be calling their bluff. Like the market, remember, it sees into the future. The market is like a conscious entity. If it's forming a bottom situation here, that could be because we're going to see this like surprising euphoric blow off top situation here, which literally everyone lost hope for that actually happening. But I said so many times in White Knuckle Reports that will and can happen if the Fed suddenly decides to surprise the market by cutting rates, like not even raising 25 basis points in February, like literally raising zero. The market right now expects them to raise 25 basis points in February. So they probably will, but that's still lower than they've raised all throughout 2022. So you're definitely starting to see the tide turning with how much they're raising interest rates, the velocity by which they're raising interest rates. So that makes sense that the market could be finding a bottom here and that you're starting to see risk appetite return, especially in cryptos. And it's like, maybe crypto is like the best, for the risky investors, the people who have the risk appetite, which is, a decent amount of people right now, considering what the price is doing. it looks like crypto has probably the most upside because it literally got beaten down the most. And you literally never saw a retracement in this entire time. So anybody who's been paying attention, like us, you have to keep that in the back of your mind that like a retracement, like potentially a major retracement is setting up in the cryptocurrency market as it develops relative strength against the Dow Jones, which is like literally so surprising that that's happening, right? Because look at the Dow Jones on the monthly chart. Look at Bitcoin on the monthly chart. It's like, hello, what is, you know what I'm saying? Look at that. Look at Bitcoin on the monthly candle right now, dude. Holy crap. And it's like, okay, there's going to be more probably trading volume, more green volume in this candle. This is going to be a major candle for Bitcoin at this point. And you just compare it to industrials, it's like, whoa, what is happening? What is happening? This just happened so fast. But I think it has to do with the fact that the market seems to be calling the Fed's bluff. Now, that was a bunch of bull talk, bull person, like perma-bull language. I just used, that's my bullish sentiment sort of emotion taking over. But we need to talk about the bearish case as well, because the bearish case still exists. It absolutely still exists. And I think the bearish case actually could be in the simple fact that the Fed comes out on February 1st and actually raises by 50 basis points, right? Realize how that would crush the market. That would literally crush the market because investors are trained to believe that higher interest rates are bad for everything when they're not. They're not bad for everything, but that's what everyone believes. So that would cause short-term pain, potentially a major capitulation in markets. If the Fed comes out in February and surprises the market with a higher than expected rate hike, then that's going to absolutely crush markets, potentially crush them into capitulation, which would be perfect, which would literally be perfect if we saw the NASDAQ make a new low. Because do you really think that Bitcoin is going to make a new low at this point? If the Fed comes out hawkish and decides to crush the market with, an unexpectedly high rate raising campaign? No, I don't think Bitcoin's going to make a new low. It will develop relative strength in that situation. And then maybe there's a situation where there's probably going to be a longer grind at the upside. The shorter move, like the shorter euphoric blow off top epic altcoin season that we've all been waiting for, would literally happen if the Fed surprises everybody by either not raising at all or literally cutting rates. It's possible. It's like, I feel like an idiot saying that it's possible, but literally it's based on the simple fact that the Federal Reserve is $31 trillion in debt. It is not to their advantage to raise interest rates, especially if they are now planning to increase this number once again. And it literally makes no intuitive sense that you would increase interest rates if you're increasing your debt. What? Like, we're in such a wacky scenario here. So it's like, okay, based on history, probably going to raise the debt ceiling. But why would they increase interest rates if they're going to raise the debt ceiling? That doesn't work for them. That's not good for them. So that's where I come back to the moon boy kind of stuff here, right? And like I said many times, you guys, like, I am very, very cautious and highly skeptical of this move that's going on, but I am able to see that there's some really solid reasons why this is taking place, because I know that the market sees in the future. The market sees things way before they happen. The market looks like it could be calling the Fed's bluff at this time. It would make sense if crypto goes into a major retracement in an altcoin season, because if that happens over the next 2 to 3 months, the next thing that happens will be like literally like a cataclysmic crash in all markets, because the Fed will be cutting rates. And what do we see every time the Fed cuts rates? Let's just review that for the umpteenth time. We'll see bad things happen in the market. Probably worse than this. These kinds of events are what happen when the Fed cuts interest rates. Now, it usually results in like a final move, though. There's like a final euphoric move that does happen because people think, oh, they're cutting interest rates. Here we go with the free money. Let's dump it all into the market. And then that's exactly when inflation takes hold, because the wealth effect happens, right? Everyone thinks money is free. They start buying financial assets. The price of everything goes up, and that's when inflation takes hold, and that's when the market crashes. So if the Fed does cut rates, that's literally exactly 100% to a T what we should all be expecting. But in that short little moment where everyone is thinking, oh, it's, a new bull market because money is free again, that is literally all the time you need for this altcoin season to happen that everyone completely gave up on and lost sight of. I'll be honest, like, even I was thinking like, maybe we're just not going to get it. I said in the White Knuckle report, I've said, maybe we're not going to get it. Maybe there's going to be no retracement, no altcoin season here. And I'd be fine with that. I would literally be completely fine and happy if I had a chance to accumulate more cryptos leading into the Bitcoin halving in 2024. And don't forget about Ethereum triple halving. That thing's a ticking time bomb, right? Look at Ethereum right now. Ethereum is literally like, it's poised to do scary, scary stuff to the upside. Absolutely. Like, it never made a new low. Altcoins are showing relative strength against Bitcoin. It's literally like, of all the assets that are available to purchase right now, altcoins have the most upside. And they're also showing the most relative strength. If I'm just using Ethereum as like a proxy for the entire altcoin market, it's like, didn't make a new low. It's closing above all the moving averages on the monthly candle. The month isn't over yet, but for now, looking pretty good here, right? And then don't forget what happened in September with Ethereum. Triple halving. The supply of Ethereum is way, way down. If the demand starts to surge, which will happen if price continues to go up, because that's how crypto works, the demand typically goes up when price goes up. If that happens, if demand goes up with the supply continuing to go down, what do you think's going to happen, kid? What do you think's going to happen? It's basic. All right, let's finish it off with the DXY, because this is now another kind of positive development for the crypto situation here, because on the monthly candle, you're now sitting below that key trend line. Now, the month isn't over. I don't know how many times I said that in this video, but I'm just trying to be cautious here and present the whole situation. On the weekly candle, you've closed right below that trend line. I think that was a key trend line. I think the fact that you've closed the weekly candle below it implies that this thing might have to go lower. And that's completely contradictory to what I said last week, because I was like, oh, I think it's forming a bottom. But now it looks like that bottom, it didn't hold, right? The reasonable place where you would expect a bottom to come in on the DXY, it didn't hold. So if we're now looking at a situation where the US dollar is about to freaking collapse here, yep, well, there's your altcoin season. Happy Christmas, altcoin rich for the rest of your life situation. That's just starting to unfold right here, right? That's what that means. And it would make a whole lot of sense, right, if they're going to raise the debt ceiling and then potentially start to slow the pace of rate hikes at the same time that they're raising the debt ceiling. All of that is bad for the dollar. All of that makes the dollar go down. See, what I was thinking last week, I was like, they're going to save the dollar. They want to save the dollar, right? They want to keep the dollar, a super powerfully valuable asset. They're going to do whatever they can to inflate the dollar, which means that they literally can't print money. They have to keep interest rates high. But maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe they don't really care about the dollar, or maybe it's all relative. And maybe this is the perfect, around these levels, like as long as it's, above 95. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I mean, because that's where the moving average is, right? The 200-week moving average is at 97 right now. Maybe they're thinking as long as the US dollar is above 97, then we're fine. We don't care. And then they can let it fall. And that means that they would be, lowering interest rates, or at least lowering the pace at which they increase the interest rates. You know what I mean? And that's all detrimental for the dollar. Also, raising the debt ceiling, that literally means they're going to print more money, right? They're not saying that's what that means, but that's literally exactly what it means. They're going to print more money. All of that is bad for the dollar. And as we already know, we should expect markets to do well if the dollar is going to fall, right? So man, it's now it's like it's hard to see the bear case at this point, right? It's hard to see that this dollar is about to reverse and start to move to the upside. It almost doesn't seem like that, and it seems right on schedule that it broke beneath at least a key trend line that I've been watching. And then it's just like, okay, where's your target here on the dollar? Where's the obvious place that this thing could be headed to? Well, look how near the 200-week moving average is to the inverse 702. That seems like the next level, right? Once you break through the 0.5, the next place you're going to go is the 702. And that's literally what happened. It's happening right now. I don't know if it will continue to happen, but it's like crypto's telling you that it might. So, wow, kid. Wow. What a crazy time. Like January 2023, epic history in the making. Any of you guys who are watching this, like seriously, if you've been hodling, like actually hodling and white knuckling through this, you are a freaking legend and you deserve to be a multimillionaire because that's insane. You were insane if you did that. But it's now paying off. You're like literally out of your mind because you went against every like macro nightmare that was just thrown in your face. And you're like, nah, I'm just gonna keep buying. I'm just gonna keep buying. It's like, dude, you're a master if you did that. And super good on you. I mean, that's why White Knuckle Report is called White Knuckle Report. It's about white knuckling because the only real strategy to make it to be, like epic God level mastery of wealth by being a crypto investor is literally just to buy and hold. It's literally to white knuckle because this market is designed to shake people out. That means all you can do is white knuckle. That's it. Don't try to trade the thing. Just buy it all the way to zero. That's it. All you can do. And maybe, just maybe, we're about to be rewarded for doing that. So wow, geez, who knows what's going to happen next? I mean, I'm definitely highly skeptical of this whole thing. I'm absolutely prepared to be holding cryptocurrencies well into 2025 and expecting maybe I don't get to take profits on them until then, right? Because I'm looking for, massive gains on these things. I'm not here for the small gains. I'm here for the like life-changing gains here. And, I don't know if the Fed is bluffing and they're going to start to do something unexpected with interest rates. We can expect a really bullish time to emerge over the next 2 to 3 months. But just remember that will absolutely result in probably the biggest economic collapse we've seen since 2008. It will be like a repeat. It will be like a debt crisis, but a debt ceiling crisis. Like they're like, okay, yeah, like we want to keep raising the debt ceiling, but now inflation is so powerful that like we're literally going to like price every citizen out of buying like even gas. You know what I mean? Like that's the scary part. So it's like, yeah, it's like, what do I prefer? What would I prefer that happens? Honestly, I would prefer that they just keep raising interest rates and even raising them like more aggressively. Like I would prefer that because yeah, that in the short term that would cause pain, but like very, very short term. And that would give opportunity to buy more cryptos. That would keep inflation at bay. We don't want inflation to just go absolutely psycho. Like that's not that, because then it's like, it doesn't matter how much money you have if like you're paying $15 a gallon for gasoline. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, it does matter how much money you have, but that's not good. Like we don't want that. We don't want everyone to be priced out of the economy. You want the economy to have participation. The only way it has participation is if inflation is not running rampant. So the downside to all this optimistic moon boy stuff that I'm talking about here is that inflation will come back and it will destroy everything. Absolutely. So that's not good, So yeah, I guess that's the sobering reality of the fact that maybe crypto is calling the Fed's bluff and maybe NASDAQ and tech are calling the Fed's bluff and all this, hawkish stuff that they've been projecting for so long. Now you're starting to see why they were literally bluffing and they were hoping that prices would go down, and they did. Prices did go down. The cost of things did go down. People did believe that hawkish talk here. But now you're starting to see the situation where it's like, how can you possibly raise the debt ceiling if you're also going to be raising interest rates, considering the debt ceiling is over $30 trillion, right? It's like, that doesn't work. So there you go. Markets calling the bluff here. So we'll see what happens. You better believe that I'm prepared for that bear situation. I'm prepared for a massive capitulation to show up here. And if we do see that, and if we see crypto come back down really low, even if it makes a new low, I don't care if it makes a new low. I will keep buying that. I will be happy to buy the new low of crypto if we see that, if it gets knocked back that badly, right? Because really, to me, it's all about April 2024. That's my eye on the prize there, right? If I have, a whole year and some change to be accumulating crypto at insanely low prices, like Ethereum below $1,000, dude, are you freaking kidding me? Then I'll make even more money. I'll make literally more money in that scenario. So we'll see what happens. We'll see, but it's a crazy time right now. Absolutely crazy right now. Things are getting super twisted. I'm enjoying watching the show, So we'll see what happens. Can't wait to talk to you guys next week. Major developments taking place. Definitely congratulations to you psycho white knuckling maniacs, because you are the legends, and to you the kingdom is delivered. God!